Okay, so I was very fascinated in making a video on Quentin Johnston. He was someone who I was going to keep a close eye on after. If you missed his first performance or missed my video on it, you could check that out on this channel of how he performed in the first preseason game. It was a very odd performance. There was pretty much one clear great thing and one clear awful thing. The great thing was he was consistently getting open in a way that, I mean, you rarely see from guys playing in their first preseason game. I mean, he was borderline uncoverable out there. The issue is, even if no one was on him, it wouldn't have mattered because he was dropping everything in sight. So, a situation like this, I wanted to see, okay, how much of that was just him getting in his own head versus how much of that is maybe actual some concerns. So I wanted to see him with more of a sample size, and let's start off with this play. So it's going to be a zone coverage play. It's a cover 2 zone play. And typically for Quentin Johnston, the way this play works is he can kind of get open past the corner, but there is a safety in the area who could potentially come over and try to make a play if the ball goes in that direction. But for Johnston, his way that he has to win here is try to get past the corner who's, lined up on him right now as quick as possible. That's what he's supposed to do here. Watch how you're going to see him get this clean release off the line. And I mean, look at how open he is. And on top of this, the safety is covering somewhere else. So if the ball went in Johnston's way, this wouldn't have just been a completion. This probably would have been a 75-plus yard touchdown. I guess 77 yards would be the actual number. That could have been a possibility with a perfect throw in that direction. The ball ends up, not coming out at all. Instead, why get a 77-yard touchdown when you can run for 2 yards? I'm obviously joking. You can't see the whole field at once. I get it. But, it just goes to show what Johnston can do and what he can bring to the table for, a team like Los Angeles if the ball comes in his direction. If Justin Herbert can throw those deep shots, we assume that he can make the catch and get those big completions. This play is a great example of one thing I really like about him is, there's some guys that just do this, just have the ability to get open against zone coverage. There is a skill in that. I think a lot of people, when they evaluate players, they kind of only evaluate guys in terms of how much do they beat man coverage or like just like how fast you are and stuff like that. But there is a skill towards finding the soft spots in zone and making those spots bigger by using good route running. And that's what Johnston is going to do on this play, where it's a route where he's going over the middle. That's the way this play is designed to work. And watch how when it begins, you're going to see that right here, it's that little fake, right? That just quick step as though he's going towards the bottom of the screen. It's nothing crazy, but it is going to help get the corner a little bit out of position, right? The one advantage you have as a receiver is that you know where you're going, the corner doesn't. So use that advantage to your advantage. Because then when he cuts over the middle of the field, I mean, he gets easily open. And would you look at that? He caught the football as well. There were not the drop issues we saw in week 1, which I think is what we should have expected. Again, I kind of compared it to the Jamar Chase situation. Chase, famously, he actually had a couple of games where he was dropping the ball in the preseason, but then, it worked itself out, obviously. He had debatably the best rookie wide receiver season of all time to follow that. And it's because drops are notoriously fluky, and sometimes they happen because you get in your own head and find yourself dropping more, but they're usually not a huge indicator of a sign to come. That's usually not how drops are. So, it's good to see that it did not show its ugly head in this game. And also, he had some good routes. Something like this is another one where it's going to be a zone coverage play. You see the route where he's, running. This is simple, right? This is easy. Just getting in a gap in coverage somewhere, hope it works out. Okay, fine. Simple enough. Watch how when this play begins, Herbert takes a snap. And again, I like how he's running this route where it's like, don't give away what you're doing just yet. I see it happen all the time where guys, when they're running a route, they just get to that spot. But you have the huge advantage, like I said, of they don't know what you're doing, so don't tell them. Don't ruin that advantage by making it clear what you're doing. Right now, what is Johnston doing? You really have no idea. He could be cutting anywhere. He could be going straight. He could be about to stop right now. You just don't know. So the Saints player who's covering him right there, look at his hips and look at how they're kind of closer towards the top of the screen than the bottom of the screen. So when Johnston gets the inside leverage, it's not a huge window, but it's big enough. And, I'm sure Herbert will be able to make those throws pretty consistently. And Johnston's able to pick up, again, just a little 5-6 yard gain. It's nothing crazy. You don't have to make crazy plays consistently. You just have to be able to get yourself in position to get open consistently. That's what I value. That's what I want out of a wide receiver, and that's what the Chargers wanted out of a guy that they drafted in this spot, is someone who can get open consistently. And the other thing I like about this play too is, when they drafted Quentin Johnston, I think a lot of people were wondering, is this the perfect fit? Some people didn't like him as a player. I really like him as a player, but I think even I was like, well, but you have Keenan Allen and you have Mike Williams, who are both kind of known for being outside threats. Quentin Johnston, to me, part of why I had him as my wide receiver 1 coming out of the draft process was because I felt like he was the best at just being a pure outside threat. But a play like this shows he doesn't just have to go on the outside. And if they have, all 3 guys at times played in the slot at different points, I don't think Mike Williams will play in the slot, but, if Quentin Johnston and Keenan Allen kind of take turns in the slot, it shows that he can still add value that way. And also something like this, where what's going to happen here is it's a zone coverage play, and you see his route. Again, simple, right? What can you really do to impress anybody? You just run to your spot, and if you get open, cool, right? Well, no. Like I said, there is a skill to this, and there are little things you can do to maximize how open this can potentially get. Watch how when this play begins, it's so subtle what he's doing right here, but he's just a little bit running towards the bottom of the screen. He lined up a little bit higher, kind of right above the numbers. That's where he lined up, and you see now he's kind of right on the numbers. So that little amount makes you think he's running a go route. That's what it feels like he's doing. If you're a defensive back, you're assuming he's running a go route. Again, sometimes these fakes don't necessarily have to be you're making 17 different moves and completely stopping and all that stuff, because at the end of the day, you do still have to get to your spot quickly. You can't just take forever to make a move like that. But watch how then when he does get back to the inside leverage and cut, the defensive back who was on him is just nowhere close to him right now. He was able to get a ton of separation. That was entirely set up due to route running, which is, again, just such a skill that he has. He is able to once again make the catch, which is, again, for some Chargers fans, probably just as makes you just as happy as him being able to get open, because the reality is he's been uncoverable in the preseason so far. He has not been consistently covered in this preseason at all. He has been open all preseason. He had a couple drop issues, but you know what? He caught this one, right? So for me personally, I just kind of view it as like, I'm not overly concerned with him dropping a pass or two. Again, I think part of why people brought it up isn't just that he dropped some passes. Because the Jamar Chase thing was, Jamar Chase was dropping passes, but he had shown no tendency to drop passes at the college level. It just all of a sudden, in the preseason, he started dropping passes. Quentin Johnston, one of his critiques was that he isn't the best at making contested catches and making the tough catches. It wasn't that he had drops, but just that he wouldn't always go up and get the ball that he needed to get. And so because of that, I think it was probably more fair to have more of a concern. But the fact that he looked really good in this game, and to me, the fact that he's getting open as much as he is, far more outweighs the potential negatives of some drops. I would gladly take the guy who is just consistently getting open over the sure-handed guy who never gets open, because it doesn't matter if you're sure-handed if the ball's not coming your way. So as a whole, I actually think I've been very pleasantly surprised with Quentin Johnston and how he's played in the preseason. It's just preseason, and obviously he'll go up against tougher competition, but in some ways he won't too, because you have so much other threats for the Chargers that you have to worry about now. So as of right now, this is looking like a potential awesome draft pick, and we'll see how well it works. But yeah, that's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.